This is the War Room with PMAC, presented by Chiefs Focus. On this show, PMAC and you provide you front office insight into crafting a championship caliber team for the Chiefs. They are identifying the right pieces to possibly meld together to lead to success this upcoming season.
Welcome to the War Room with PMAC, presented by Chiefs Focus, where we are putting together a team that could possibly compete for a three-peat, the first ever in the NFL, where we are putting together pieces to put together to go to this three-peat and possibly take it all. That is PMAC. My name is you, the letter, not the word. And thank you for joining us. PMAC, what's going on?
Yes, sir, man. I'm good, man. I'm glad to hear that you're doing good, man. And I wanted to say hello, everyone. It is great to have you all here today. Welcome to another episode of the War Room with PMAC, presented by Chiefs Focus. I am your host, Philip PMAC McGruder, McGruder, McGruder. And I'm here, and I'm pleased to be joined by my co-host and my producer, as he said this, as he calls himself, you, not the letter U. And yes, in the last episode, we experienced some technical difficulties with my audio, which instantly cut off. And I apologize for any inconvenience. And I appreciate you guys sticking with us out there in Chiefs Kingdom. So, however, the NFL draft has ended, and Brett Veach and his team have assembled an incredible draft class again. And in this episode, we will discuss this group's strengths and how they can aid the Chiefs in their quest to become the first team in NFL history, as this said, to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. So let's dive into it.
Let's go, man. Let's get it.
Yeah.
So the draft is passed. The 2024 draft is passed. And I do want to make mention of this. It was in Detroit this year. And for the record, the Chiefs did break the record last year for attendance. Well, Detroit felt some sort of way about that, and they doubled it. So I think the Chiefs were I think the Kansas City draft was what 400,000, and over the 3 days, and if I'm not mistaken, Detroit was 900,000, give or take some.
Yeah, I think it was like 700,000. That was the number, but still a large number. But I remember being there on day 3, and it wasn't as many, but it was a lot of people there on day 3, and it was a great experience. But yeah, it just tells you just how great it is with the fan experience. And now, when you saw on Saturday, you saw the international connection with a lot of fans from across the globe announcing the picks, and I loved it because it was with fan engagement. And also, you had the same thing with the WWE. And speaking of WWE, you saw Mahomes and Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith deal with Braun Strowman while they was, dealing with Logan Paul and the Judgment Day. But shout out to those guys. But it was fun, though. But anyway, just to see that connection with the international connection is also brought prominence there. And I feel like Detroit, and also you saw Eminem come out with Roger Goodell. I think that was the attraction, and just knowing the city that Detroit is, and also looking into account that you have the Lions, and also coming off of the playoffs for the first time in almost 30 years, going there, and then they were just one game away from the Super Bowl, and then you also had the Michigan Wolverines come off the national championship victory. So I think that was part of the appeal of that. So
absolutely, all those things played a factor. So. I mean, it was great for the draft. It was great for the NFL. Now, if they could only figure out how to make this Pro Bowl something to watch, then they'd be batting 1,000. For a baseball analogy, but still, then they'd be batting 1,000. But we're here, we're where we're at, and we're gonna keep it moving. Our first segment today is the news. Let's get into it.
That's news to me. That's news to me.
That's news to me.
right. Getting into our first segment, that is news to me. As you guys all heard, after the conclusion of the 2024 NFL draft, and after the Chiefs finished with their undrafted rookie free agent signings, they made another splash move. So as they extended Chiefs tight end Travis Kelsey to a 2-year contract extension worth $34 million, with 17 million guaranteed for this season. The deal guarantees his position with the team beyond the 2025 season, which his original contract said it was supposed to end. Kelsey is among the NFL's best tight ends with 907 receptions, 11,328 yards, 74 touchdowns. He's earned 9 Pro Bowls, 4 first team All Pro selections, and was named to the Pro Football Hall of Fame's All Decade team for the 2010 team. Kelsey has been consistent with 7 straight seasons of 1,000 yards, and from 2016 to 2022. In 2023, he was 16 yards short with 984 yards and 5 touchdowns. But when you saw the Sam Laporta injury in the last game of the season last year, that's when Indy was like, nah, man. But it was because of building that legacy. And Kelsey and Mahomes have been a dynamic duo since 2018, leading the Chiefs to 3 Super Bowl victories in every AFC championship game from 2018 to 2023. Kelsey has caught 600 passes for 7,000 yards, 52 touchdowns in the regular season, and added 43 receptions, 1,600 yards, and 18 touchdowns in the postseason together as a duo. Kelsey played a crucial role in the last playoff win against the Ravens and in the Super Bowl victory against the 49ers. He is now one of the highest paid tight ends in the league, with an average about $17 million a year. And at 34 years old, he is still considered one of the best players at his position. So what's your thoughts about him getting this extension? And we thought we were just going to get 2 more years, but we're getting 4 more years of Kelsey. So what's your thoughts, man?
I think Kelsey is not just here for the money. He's out here chasing legacy, and this cemented that. And he obviously believes that this team is good enough to chase a few more, not just the 3-peat, not even just the year after that, but 4 years longer. 2 years added on to those other 2 years that I just talked about. So, with that being said, man, I think he's right. I think he's right. I think there is the opportunity to go for it. And as much as I hated losing to the stupid Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as much as I hated
get me started on that, man.
As much as I hated that, I look at Patrick Mahomes and realize that that's something he needed. We wouldn't have come back. We wouldn't have come back from last year if that Super Bowl never happened. And I think Travis Kelsey realizes that Patrick Mahomes has that fire in him, and he wants to be great. And so Travis Kelsey's like, I'm great, but what puts me in the great test is the rings. And so that's his mindset. And it's time. It's go time. It's go time. Not to mention all the things he got going on off the field. So this is just going to cement his legacy even further. So shout out to Travis Kelsey for the contract extension. Shout out to the Chiefs for making it right, making it happen. And shout out to Patrick Mahomes for, making sure that he stays with us for a long time.
Absolutely, man. They're trying to continue that legacy. They can go down as arguably, if not the greatest, one of the top 3 greatest duos, quarterback pass catcher duo of all time. And I think you could just safe to say they surpassed Brady and Gronk. This is better than that. And it's just, and I know Gronk and Brady's is like, because after Kelsey just signed that extension, he's like, nah, I ain't done yet. Just like Marcus Peters, I think we ain't done yet. Marcus, I think we ain't done yet. Marcus, we ain't done yet. So I love it, man. Just sending a message to the league, and even Mahomes making his cameo on the WWE as a heel is sending a message clearly to the league. Yeah, y'all want to call us the villains? Just bring it. And I just love every bit of it with this. And that's what I just see about it. And I think when you look at this too, if you consider this too now, right? Now you secure Kelsey until 2027. And then in this draft, what we're going to get into later, but I got to bring this guy up. You add Jared Wiley as one of those 4th round picks as we got in return from the deal that we got from Worthy, as we're going to talk about later in the show. Wiley led college football of all the tight ends with 8 touchdown catches. And I didn't talk about him on the show among those tight ends, but behind the scenes, I had him in my notes. And I did the little thing like I did with Rice last year where I took a percentage of all the snaps he played at SMU. And I was like, okay, I'll put him in Juju Smith-Schuster's 2022 stats. And that same number of yards that he put up this past year, I knew that he was going to do that when I used that formula. So I used the same formula with Wiley, even if he was tight end 3. He's already shown you that he's the future where him and Kelsey, he's a Kelsey clone. He was drafted at age 23, the same year Kelsey was drafted, age 23 in 2013. And with those two, they're both versatile pass catchers, with Wiley being 6'7", Kelsey being 6'5", close to 6'6". Very good, excellent route runners who can exploit gaps in coverage. And they both can run seam routes and have the speed to create mismatches, especially on play action passes, right? And now with Pat, they could form that formidable duo, kind of like what Gronk and Hernandez did, but without all the drama, especially using a versatile 12-man personnel package. Think about that, bro. That's crazy. It's going to be like we're giving teams trouble going down the road now, you know?
I definitely see what you're talking about. Now, I'll save my thoughts for when we get into it for the next segment. But I'm definitely interested to see what Andy has cooked up, because once he took another tight end, I knew some things were coming down the pike, and I'm interested to see what they are. So with that being said, you said there's still some more news. I think we got Veach's press conference notes.
Oh, yes, man. Veach, in his press conference notes, there is 3 takeaways that I wanted to take away from that. Man, his thoughts about Kingsley Suamiyata, who I predicted from the last episode would be the first pick from the Chiefs, but we got him in the 2nd round. He said it. He's coming in to compete at the left tackle position with Wanye Morris. And when you just look the way as he talks, man, like he is a real dude, man. And he will knock dudes down. He's definitely going to protect Mahomes, man. And he also mentioned that his family ties with Penei Sewell, and also he also played with Puka Nacua in high school. And that says a lot about this guy. And I really think what Veach sees in him is the same thing I was been talking about him on the last episodes, which I was happy about. Number 2, Worthy, as like Big Red mentioned, just the ability, what he could do. And also Veach mentioned that he's trying to get him between ranges 170 to 180, the same size that McCall played at, because he's coming in at 165. But if you've seen a highlight that, and a shout out to our guy Brad Henson, who works closely with us at Chiefs Focus, who puts out great content and videos explaining analogies of what the Chiefs could do, similar to what I do, especially with breaking down in the scout and notes. He showed a video of Worthy trucking a guy to the end zone. I'm like, don't even talk to me about his physicality. He shows you just need to add more muscle. And that's all Veach has said. So that's number 2. And number 3, they asked him about the running back situation, because the Chiefs didn't draft the running back, but they signed a couple in the undrafted free agent market. And they asked him, are you still thinking about going out to get a running back? And listen to what Brett says. He says clearly, I'm comfortable with what we got in. I can't wait for competition. So you got these talented players, especially Carson Steele, who we're going to talk about a little later. And then also there's one, I'll mention about this other one, Amani Bailey from TCU. This guy, even though he's not the fastest
Mm-hmm.
He's not the strongest, but he has very good ability. It's all in here technical. He's like the classic running back, like the Alfred Morris, the Le'Veon Bell, the stop, wait for the gaps to open and just hit the hole type of running backs. That's who he is. And if you look at what Pro Football Focus showed, he broke 70 tackles last year. That's like top 15 among the top running backs from this draft class from last year. Even in a limited role, he could do a lot in a limited role. So he's a guy that, let's say he doesn't make the 53 man, he's definitely a practice squad candidate with that opportunity that he could be an active player if one of our running backs go down. So that's another name. And Brett is saying, I don't think we're going to look at a running back because I like the talent. And then you think about it, we just brought back Clyde. And then before free agency hit, we extended, I believe, LaMichael Penrine. Especially you got Pacheco, who was the focal point last year, even in the postseason. He really played the most crucial role where teams focused on him because everybody thought, oh, because of the drops of the receivers. But that's when chess, not checkers. We use that to our advantage so the receivers did their job. So that's what the other thing that I like from the Brett Veach press conference. But I like how he said, I like the running backs we got in this market in undrafted rookie free agency. We're not going to go for somebody. So
I always think it's interesting the guys that we know that Andy keeps a lot of offensive line talent, but every other position, as far as the depth is concerned, changes from year to year. Last year he kept 4 tight ends. The year before that he kept 4 tight ends. Prior to that, he had only kept 3. And then the year he kept 5 running backs. 2-3 years ago, maybe
that was 2022.
Yeah, 22. That year he kept 5 running backs, and then there's years prior to that he only kept 3. It's always interesting to me how like the roster building part, because it's different every other year or every year. And he brought 6 wide receivers in. We have a lot of wide receivers in the room, but years prior, we've only had 4 to 5. Having that 6 person doesn't seem like a lot at first, but then you think about it, it kind of is. That's a whole roster spot that you could be filling with somebody else. Not to mention that I'm thinking Andy Reid might bring back the fullback position, or at the very least, line one of the guys we already got who might not necessarily be a fullback, line them up in the fullback position to be that lead blocker. And I don't know if we're going to talk. I don't think we're going to talk about us. Yeah, I think we are talking about Steele, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I definitely think there's plenty of notes from Brett Veach, and the league should be listening because it gives you insight on what could happen this season.
Yeah. And I will say this before we move to the next segment. Let's say he did say that about the running backs, but let's say he doesn't like what he sees behind Pacheco, especially with Clyde, right? Or let's say Clyde is still showing the same issues and everything. Everybody's not liking it. Then don't be surprised if Brett looks in the free agent market, and because I'll just say only 2 names out there. I know one of them Chiefs fans are gonna be like, no. There's Cam Akers who's still out there, and from the inside, they said it's okay for him to come back, but let's see how this all plays out with everybody else outside of the kingdom. Kareem Hunt, or make a trade for one of the guys who were drafted from 2020, 2021, or 2022 with certain deals on their rookie deals left. So you look into that option.
I'm interested in all 3. I don't think Kareem. I think a lot of people are wanting Kareem. Like, I think that's a thing for Chiefs fans, especially knowing how good he was in 2007 or 2018. But I think, I don't know. We'll see. I'm
Yeah,
not
we'll see.
I'm not saying no, but I'd be surprised. Let's put it like that.
Right.
With anyway, let's keep it moving, man. Let's go on to our second segment. 5 instant impact Chiefs rookies.
Yes, sir. Man, now that the draft is over, it is time to evaluate the players selected and identify potential standouts. If Kamal Hatton, the 6th-round pick, can perform at the same level before his shoulder injury, this draft class could be one of the most productive in recent history. The team will be delighted if the 2024 draft class is only as half as impressive as the last 2 seasons. So, last this says, here are the players from the 2024 draft class who can make an impact in year 1. And I'm gonna start with my guy, Kingsley Suamiyata from BYU. The Chiefs added Suamiyata to their offensive line on Friday night. They selected the former BYU offensive tackle at number 63 by moving up one spot from the where the Niners were originally. He's 21 years old. He's versatile and he can play both left and the right tackle position. He's played over 1,300 offensive snaps in 2 years and is known for his nimble footwork and strength, making him a successful pass protector. Dan Bugler of the Athletic, yeah, I'll say yeah, Brute, I say
Dan
Dan Brute,
Brugler. It's
yeah,
Brugler.
Brugler. Okay. Dane Brugler of The Athletic wrote an excellent analysis on Sumayata. He mentions that he likes to mash defenders in confined spaces, delivers more pancakes than Denny's, and has impressive pass blocking skills that I saw on tape. Only surrendered 2 sacks last season at left tackle and 742 pass blocking snaps. That's just about the same amount of snaps that Donovan Smith played for the Chiefs. And he didn't even allow any sacks at right tackle in 2022. Uh, Bugler and PFF have praised Sumiyata's production, his youth, talent, versatility, describing him as a scheme-diverse NFL starter and a dream prospect to draft and develop. And assistant GM Mike Zingi was impressed by his athleticism and his versatility, noting his potential as a prototypical left tackle or correct tackle. He comes from a family with a strong NFL background, as he cited his cousin Panay Sewell as one of his major influences during his post-selection presser on Friday. So Kingsley Sumiata has the potential, like I said, to be a starting left tackle from day one and could play a crucial role in protecting Patrick Mahomes. And now with him, with that size, that speed, and that strength, imagine him and Joe Tooney on the left side, which will work well with his skills and make a seamlessly transition from the team's previous left side players in Donovan Smith and Y.A. Morris.
Here's my thing about this kid, Suamataia.
Suamataia.
I have to. I have this thing with me that I have to get people's names right because people. I guess it's because people.
Yeah. I've
butcher
been
my
working hard to get that name right.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. It's something I got to think about saying before I actually say it. But anyway, this kid is he can be a beast. He could be a guy to throw human beings. You know what I mean? Um, I am willing. I'm wanting to see. I'm willing to see which side they put him on because you know Andy, he's not gonna just when it comes to his lineman, he likes guys that can play wherever, whenever. And this kid's played right tackle, he's played left tackle. And it's going to be interesting to me what side they put him on. I think they'll put him at left tackle, but we know Jawan Taylor has had issues in the past with this team. And who knows whether they decide to actually put him at left tackle and move Suamataia to right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real possibility. And I don't want to gloss over that. That is something that could possibly happen. And it's something that we got to think about because it changes the dynamics of the team. It really it doesn't sound like a lot, but it does change the dynamics of at least the offensive line and how it protects Pat moving forward. You had something to say?
Yeah, I was gonna just say this now. So so you said Suamataia. So Kingsley
Yeah,
Suamataia, man. So I believe Suamataia has a great chance where he's going to be the left tackle from day one. But Wanye, originally, if you really look how flawless he was more flawless and at ease when he was at the right side. So I'm saying like this. Let's say Jawan has the same issue with the penalties. And I think Andy would not hesitate to put Wanye back in his natural position on the right and let Kingsley be on the left. And don't be surprised if Pat feels more comfortable from that point on because, like, this is the thing. Wanye has longer reach than Kingsley to play on the left side, but Kingsley will get there quicker and better. And he got the load to just serve pancakes better than Wanye, but Wanye is more like similar to like what we have from Mitchell Schwartz, but he's faster and more athletic than Mitchell. And I think that's what I see in Wanye Morris if you put him on the right side. And Kingsley would be like he would be like Jason Peters that Andy Reid had before. And I think he's like a more athletic upgrade than Donovan Smith. He's quicker and he's stronger than Donovan. And that's the thing that Kingsley brings. And I think Veach saw that on tape and said, that's just what we need. If we just get like 3 more seconds, 1, 2, 3, get the ball out. Kingsley is capable of holding that up for Mahomes just to get that ball out, especially with those quick releases.
I think that's what you do for the first 3 games. I think that's exactly what you do. You focus on having Pat just get the ball out, and you focus on the short game, and then once you have kind of got him into a rhythm, just add a little bit extra on there, a little bit longer if you can, because Pat, he's going to create as much opportunity as possible, and he's going to hold the ball as long as you can without getting the people in trouble. So I think this kid has a lot of talent and a lot of things that he's going to be able to bring to the table, and I'm looking forward to. My only hope is that he stays healthy, and I'm not. He doesn't have injury history, but the offensive line in the NFL is man, that's the trenches, and so he has a good potential to be great moving forward, especially for Pat. This is finally one of those offensive linemen that you just pick up specifically for Pat, and this should hopefully last 5 years plus. So let's move on to the next guy.
Yes, sir. And with the next guy, what is one key to success in the NFL? Winning the turnover battle ranks high on that list. As the league features more passing in on offense, the importance of a stout secondary is heightened. Last season, players like Snead, McDuffie, Justin Reed proved the impact defense backs have in a game. Veach has a knack of grabbing mid to late round defensive backs, and Dave Merritt, our defensive back coach, is incredible at coaching them up to play in Spag scheme. And that's going to bode well with our 6th round pick with the 211th pick that we got in the deal with the Buffalo Bills. Actually, I think it was the Niners in the trade to get Kingsley, and that is Kamal Hatton from Tennessee. And hopefully he continues the streak of late round corners earning starter reps for our defense. And in the previous round, they selected Jaden Hicks from Washington State, which we will discuss later in this segment. Hatton is a skilled baller from Michigan who moved to Kansas in 2019 to attend Independence Community College. He had a successful freshman season, and despite the pandemic canceling the 2020 season, he received several offers from FBS schools. He eventually landed at Tennessee, where he played as one of their most productive corners to date. Over the last 3 years, he appeared in 23 games, recorded 87 tackles, 18 pass deflections, 6 picks, 5.5 tackles for losses, and 2 forced fumbles. Sounds like the neck of the woods are like what Snead did for us. And Hayden had the most interceptions for the Volunteers in the last 2 seasons, despite missing 4 games in each time. He had 11 pass deflections and 3 interceptions in 2023, including the pick six. If you guys see that highlight, when you saw him first get drafted. Hayden is an impressive athlete, and he may lack lateral agility. In 2023, he was one of the nation's highest graded corners, according to Pro Football Focus. And during his final year with the Vols, he was on a complete no-fly zone. If you know where that term comes from, it was known by the Broncos when they had Aqib Talib and Chris Harris Jr. when they were dominating as a cornerback duo. And last season, a 7 passer rating allowed, just a 7.0. That if he continued to play that like 900 snaps with a 7, we're talking about the best corner in this draft class. He suffered a season-ending shoulder injury and didn't participate in the NFL Combine. He has struggled with injuries, playing only 23 games over 3 years. He's better in man coverage, but has weakness in zone awareness, leverage, and tackling, and has limited college football experience, just playing over 1,100 snaps. But he has the length, the disruption, the IQ, the ball skills that Spags likes in outside corners. He can improve the cornerback room that we have now opposite Trent McDuffie. And Spags uses split safety looks, which could protect his corners. And this would allow Hayden to focus on his press technique while dialing up stronger blitzes.
With this kid, I would say you're gonna have to be careful with him. When I say that, I'm saying it from the aspect of I do, and I have thought we always needed a takeaway technician. We haven't had one since Marcus Peters. We've been missing that element when it comes to the team. And I've been wanting the Chiefs to pick up a technician, what I call a takeaway technician, somebody who can get you 3 on their own, But the issue with trying to do that is making sure that they're not selling out just to take away the ball, making sure they're not putting the team in a position to where you let go of the big play just to try to take away the ball, which is sometimes what certain other people brought to the table. You want to be able to take away in advantageous spots. And I think this kid could do that. The question is the health is my thing.
Yeah.
The question is the health. The skill is there. Okay. But the question is the health, and hopefully we won't need him as a full-time guy. We won't need him as a full-time guy because he's a cornerback. We got loads of those. But if the health isn't an issue, I believe you got something on your hands here. I think he could be a guy that could really manipulate quarterbacks into throwing passes that they probably shouldn't throw because they don't think he can get there. I think
he might turn into our own Deron Bland, like Tariq Woolen, like in year 1 or in 2 years. I could see it already.
I could see that as well. I could definitely see it. Let's go to our next one. I think is this the last one, or is it two more?
We got 3 more.
3 more.
Yeah. And man, with this one, because as you all know, on Thursday we did a live show on the Chiefs Live podcast with JP, Caleb, and I was on there with you as well, bro. And I broke the news that the freaking Bills traded with us. And I know everybody in the NFL is like, what the are y'all serious? And last time this happened, we got Mahomes, and we've defeated them in 3 postseason games from that span on. And now they trade away picks for us to get Xavier Worthy from Texas. Worthy was highly productive in college with over 2,700 receiving yards and 26 touchdowns in 3 seasons. and he is known for his impressive speed, running the fastest 40-yard dash in NFL scouting combine history. 4.21. Despite his speed, Worthy is more than just a straight line runner. He is a skilled route runner, and I said the Chiefs needed a route runner, that Antonio Brown type, so a guy with that speed and that ability to break out of his routes with good football instincts and that strong work ethic. He has the experience of playing both outside and in the slot, making him a versatile weapon for the Chiefs, especially right now and going into the future. And also, Worthy is a remarkable return man during his time at Texas. He led college football in return yards last season with 371 yards, including a 74-yard touchdown return. In his career, he's averaged over 14 yards per return, handling 41 punts for 564 yards and one score. After round one, Big Red spoke about Worthy's ability on special teams, saying, "We think he's a fantastic football player and excels in different areas. He's a good wide receiver and an outstanding special teams returner. He will initially be doing both." Like I said in episode 2, when I mocked him as our first draft pick, before he broke that 40 time, I said he has the ability to do not only do stuff on offense, but be like that Tyreek Hill type guy. And he may be the only person to beat Tyreek Hill in the foot race now. And pairing him with Marquise Brown, Kadarius Toney, and now Pacheco kind of gives the Chiefs like 3/4 of a potential Olympic relay team now, man. And I mean, when Rashee Rice returns from his suspension, and man, I've been hearing those jokes like, now you got Marquise Brown, who runs a 4.27, Worthy 4.21. Rashee Rice clocked at 119 miles per hour. I'm like, y'all need to stop, man, because when he returns from his suspension, Worthy and Rice make the Chiefs' kingdom feel like they will have Deshaun Jackson with 4.21 speed. And my comparison to Rashee Rice, Devontae Adams on the field at the same time with Travis Kelce, with Marquise Brown catching passes from Mahomes, they must also worry about, like I said, Isaiah Pacheco in the backfield. And Dave Toub is also a big winner with this because with Worthy, it's for a good reason. Ask Devin Hester, Run DMC, Dexter McCluster, the Black Mamba, DeAnthony Thomas, Tyreek Hill, the Cheetah, the Jet, McCole Hardman, KT, Kadarius Toney. Worthy is a selfless guy who will work every down, offense and special teams. He is that guy.
For me, for now, the special teams is going to be where he makes his mark.
Absolutely.
He will not stay there because we obviously expect him to grow in his role, but he will likely be the special teams guy this upcoming season, and he's tough. He doesn't look like, I think he will have to put on 10 pounds, 15 pounds, maybe, but that shouldn't affect his speed too much. And what it also does is get him ready for those hits, because and it's plus special teams is not going to be what it used to be. Let's remember that. The kickoffs are now different. Punts are the same, but kickoffs are different. And you need that kind of 4.21 speed. And that's what he brings. So, with that being said, I don't think that they brought him in to be a return guy. Please don't get me wrong in thinking I'm saying that, because I don't think that. But when Dave Toub says he wants to get his hands on a guy, Dave Toub's going to get his way. Like, Dave Toub's going to get it. So,
assistant head coach as well.
Huh?
He's also the assistant head coach. So he's like
Absolutely.
the man who has the final say, not just special teams, but with the other positions on the roster. And remember, he was the one that stood up against Marcus Peters after that Jets game in 2017 when he was causing a ruckus. He was on that like, shut up and all that stuff. So
I just think, just remember how they used Tyreek, and as Tyreek grew in his role, grew in his responsibility, everything started to change. But they continued to use him in the special teams game. And I think that's going to be what we see with Xavier Worthy. He won't be just a return guy, though. Please understand that. Don't think I'm saying that. But he
Yeah.
will. But he will be used in the return game, and he will be used heavily. So we got two more.
Yes, sir. And now we can talk about this thing with in regards to Kelsey getting his new deal, because I think it was probably part of the plan of why they did this. So, as you guys know, Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey have a strong connection that is vital to the success of this offense. To further strengthening this team, they have recently drafted Jared Wiley, a talented tight end who will join Kelsey as an essential weapon on the field. This move is expected to really be part of helping us with that three-peat. Wiley is a 6'6", 6'7" tight end with excellent blocking and receiving skills. Like I mentioned earlier in one of the segments, and that's news to me. In 2023, he caught the most receiving touchdowns of any FBS tight end and led all tight ends with 5 red zone touchdowns. Overall, he had 12 touchdown scores in 27 games with TCU. Originally coming out of the University of Texas in 2021, he transferred to TCU as part of that national championship team that got blown out by Georgia. But anyway, the Chiefs drafted Wiley with 131, and Brugler ranked him as the number 4 tight end in this year's class on his ranking from The Athletic. His experience as an inline tight end and snaps away from the line fit well with the Chiefs' offense. According to Brugler, he has a sneaky straight line speed in space. And the Chiefs Southwest regional scout Jason Lamb praised Wiley's speed, saying he has that sneaky speed because he's a bigger guy. And Noah Gray is expected to be Kelsey's backup, while Wiley is the third tight end. However, Wiley can move to the backup role if he impresses the coaching staff during rookie camp and training camp. And like I mentioned, and I got to mention this, man, with Kelsey and Wiley, you can do a versatile 12-man personnel package. You can do an impressive 13 personnel package. You got two guys who can create mismatches out there. And then you got to remember they signed Irv Smith Jr. for tight end depth, but with Wiley's arrival, Smith Jr. will likely get little playing time or he might not make the roster at all. However, they can keep him if they decide to still keep 4 tight ends on the roster this year.
Again, that intrigues me. Just throwing in that extra tight end, and you know how I feel about Irv. I actually liked Irv coming out of the draft a few years ago. That he went to the Vikings first, then signed with the Bengals. Now he's here. I think there is something that you could do with Irv. Irv has a special set of skills.
Yeah, I'm not letting go of Irv.
I.e. taken, huh?
I'm not letting go of Irv. I'm not letting go of Irv because I keep him as fullback tight end.
I was thinking the same thing, but hey,
like that Brock Bowers play, that Georgia play. I was like, that's what Irv Smith did at Alabama. So we would keep him, and then the other guys could do other things too. And one of the other guys we're going to talk about later in the next segment after this, but we got one more player after this. But yeah, man, just think about what the players we added. Like, we really did our homework by adding those little chess pieces that will make things flow. And then you added Suamata Tia to play left tackle along with the guys on the line, and also brings great competition to make the guys play off of each other. I love it too, man. And Pat relying on his ability, if he feels the pockets collapsing and the guys are not getting open again, he could take off. But I feel like he shouldn't worry about it this year, especially now when you had a guy like Wiley and then you had Worthy along with Brown and going down there right now. All the receivers, especially KT, is down there in Texas right now with Mahomes, and Kelsey's down there too. So I love how everything is going with them, and it's going to work very well.
Yeah, I realized with KT, this contract year for him. So
absolutely,
in the words of the late great Therese Paler, contract year is undefeated.
Yes.
Shout out to All Juice team.
All Juice team, baby.
All Juice team. So shout out to him for that. But yeah, man, it's a difference this year. It is. I like what we have. I think we got one more, but I'm gonna tell you what as we talked, The one thing I've realized is that these guys are mostly are depth, but yet can step in whenever needed. Um, I Not unlike 2022, if we're going to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah,
With those defensive backs that we picked up, um, just being able to serve, be ready when called upon, and that's
absolutely.
what it looks like at this point of the game. So, one more. Let's go with our last one.
Yeah, and this one was the shock of it all, man. Like I was shocked that with the extra fourth round pick we got in return, we were able to get this guy because I've been saying over the last 2 seasons that we needed a safety. And the Chiefs with 133 pick Washington State safety Jaden Hicks, continuing their trend of drafting players from Washington State secondary. In 2022, they chose a Washington State cornerback Jalen Watson in the 7th round, and Hicks and Watson played together for one season at Washington State in 2021. Hicks is a versatile player who played for Washington State's defense. He's a top prospect as a safety, with experts ranking him high on their boards. Some of them even the Athletic called him the number one safety on their board, and he could play deep safety in the box and over the slot. In 12 starts last season with the Cougars, he recorded 79 tackles, 6 tackles for losses, 6 pass deflections, 2.5 sacks, 2 picks, and a forced fumble, earning honorable mention all Pac-12 honors. He was also effective the previous year, recording 76 tackles, 7 pass deflections, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, and a pick. His best trait is his intelligence. He can do a little bit of everything. He would be able to compete for Brian Cook's free safety job until he's cleared to play with the rest of the talented playmakers on that secondary. It could also help move Shamari Connor into the slot full time with all the versatility that they would have on the back end. And his best fit on the defense to me to get him going early, as you mentioned, like guys might not be ready, but they could step in the role. I think he could play that Dirty Dan role better than Dirty Dan, a way better 100 times player than Dirty Dan in Spag scheme like that dime-backing role. And also, you got to remember, Eric Berry played the dime-backing role before. If you remember, he was a Pro Bowler that year when he did that. He can operate around the line of scrimmage, coverage, blitzing, and in the run game, bring an aggressive, hard-hitting edge to Spags defense and give the team their version of Cam Chancellor with Eric Berry's coverage ability that they really need, man. And he's a tone setter, and I really love this pick.
I think that's what Andy Reid and those guys got him for, to set tones. And if he ends up being a starter, because we know can't remember the kid's name, but he should be coming back this season. Uh Safety for the Chiefs.
Cook.
Cook. I don't know why I
Yeah.
was about to say something else, but yes, Cook. He'll be back. But coming off an injury like that, it could, you tend to be a little timid when it comes off of it because you never know what's going to happen. Your body has to respond to recovery. And so I think there's a possibility that he could be using this time to, brush up on everything that he needs to brush up on to try to be a starter in this league. Cook is still Cook. I love Cook, but the injury can bring some things that you never thought could happen. So I like this. I like this pick. I'm interested to see how soon he starts, and also it throws this out there. A lot of people were thinking that Justin Reed might get re-signed. This
Mhm.
doesn't take away from that. He still might get re-signed, or he still might get an extension. But this ensures that you're not hamstrung if he doesn't.
Absolutely.
So
Like what you see from the other guys like Reed and Connor. There's a reason why you bring back Deion Bush. When you pick
absolutely,
off, like when you lose your safeties, guys going down and injuries, he stepped up and he
exactly.
picked off Lamar in the end zone. There was an opportunity Lamar could have 2 opportunities. he played on those drives and he dominated playing his role. And Matt Nagy knows him going back to the Chicago days, and Bush has proved himself. And I'm happy that he shows that even as a depth piece, he knows his role. But he's like, I'm ready to step up whenever I need to, and you need him, especially for special teams. He was like one of the blockers for Kadarius in that game against the Eagles in that Super Bowl. So that's another reason why you bring him back too. So
Yeah. So Jaden Hicks, I look forward to seeing him. And
yes,
that ends our 5 instant impact Chiefs rookies of 2024. And we got about 10 minutes left. So that takes us to the third and our final segment. 3 UDFAs, for those that don't know, that's undrafted free agent rookies or undrafted free agents. My apologies. Likely to make the team.
yes, sir. And with that, as this segment goes on, building through the NFL draft is often the best way to succeed in the competitive NFL. However, teams can also benefit from signing undrafted free agents who can make a significant impact. The question is, how do these undrafted players develop into NFL stars? One example, Tershawn Turk Wharton, who joined the Chiefs as an undrafted free agent in 2020. Wharton has returned this year for his 5th season after an impressive performance last year after he recorded 17 pressures, 5 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks in 17 games. He also played a vital role during the playoff run, getting about 25 snaps per game in those 4 postseason games. Another successful story is former Texas A&I player John Randall, who signed with the Minnesota Vikings in 1990. Randall became one of only 16 players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, recording 137 and a half career sacks, which is the 10th most in NFL history. The Chiefs have found success in undrafted players during the Veach era. You know, guys like Charvarius Ward, Tommy Townsend, and Jody Fortson, who all went undrafted but have had outstanding careers. So, with that being said, the Chiefs can have these guys after their dealings with these guys this past weekend after the draft. So here is a list of 3 guys that I believe who the Chiefs can make into potential impact players as rookies coming from the undrafted rookie free agent market that could bring that instant impact. And I'm going to start with one guy by the name of Carson Steele, running back, fullback from UCLA. Last year, most teams didn't carry a fullback. The Chiefs was one of them, who stopped doing this since last season after the Shermanator retired. I believe it started with the Shermanator, then Mike Burton going to the Broncos. That's when the Chiefs said, we're going to not use a fullback. However,
Yeah, Mike Burton was enough to make nobody use a fullback. Sorry. Go ahead.
I got you. I know how you feel about Mike Burton. I already know. So, however, we signed Carson Steele, who was a running back fullback, who we signed after the draft. Steele gained some interesting nicknames while playing originally at Ball State due to his long blonde hair and his fitness, which is less than 10% body fat, and had great running back talents. Names like Thor, Fabio, or the Man of Steel. Bruce Feldman of The Athletic has twice listed Steele as one of the top 100 freaks in college football due to his muscular build and powerful running style. Thanks to his heavy lower body, he excels at straight line running, but his lateral explosiveness is somewhat limited. Steele has a chance to become the only fullback on the Chiefs roster, but he could contribute more than just as a blocker. The Chiefs are among the few football teams still using a fullback, although it doesn't determine how successful a player will be in the NFL. The relative athletic score can compare players to current and past ones. He had a 7.36 out of 10, comparing him to Arian Foster, who led the NFL in rushing in 2010 and a 4-time Pro Bowler. Steele and Foster are solid runners who can catch out of the backfield. So with Steele, with his skill set, it can make him a suitable replacement for McKinnon while being a Kyle Juszczyk type of fullback.
I don't disagree with any of that. Because Andy loves fullbacks. But
Yeah.
again, I have my issues with Mike Burton. I think he just tried to do too much. Uh,
Yeah.
I think he
He was
tried to
Sean
be more
Payton's
than
guy.
what, huh?
He was Sean Payton's guy doing all that stuff that they did with Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara and
Like,
Taysom
bro,
Hill.
just run forward. Like, what are you doing? Um, that's my issue with him. And we really haven't found a replacement since the Shermanator left and retired. So, with this being said, not only I think Andy Reid might reprise the role of fullback. When I
Yes.
say reprise, I mean not just being a lead blocker, getting us uh, fourth and short or whatever, but also similar to the Shermanator in 2018. Send him on
Yeah.
wheel routes, send him out to receive passes, so forth and so on.
Do we have time to run Wasp?
Precisely.
Can we run Rose Bowl? Because he has played at the Rose Bowl this past season for UCLA. And if you ever seen, they did a set where 3 running backs have their hand in the dirt 3-point stance, and he got one of them inside the
Please,
10. So
please, you know good and
jumbo
well
tape.
Andy Reid is watching that. And that's one of the reasons probably why he's gotten brought in.
Yes.
So Carson Steele is one. Who's your next guy?
And man, I know fans were probably upset that the Chiefs didn't go after a linebacker to probably replace Willie Gay or give us that fourth linebacker behind Tranquil. Actually, Nick Bolton, Tranquil, and Leo Chenal. But Brett Veach discovered a valuable undrafted free agent in Curtis Jacobs, a guy that I've mentioned in one of our episodes. The boys are back in town as an option and linebacker in one of my mock draft mentions, or it was one of the segments about positions that we needed, and linebacker was one of them. And we got one here. And for the undrafted rookie free agent, Beach is just a wizard at this. Jacobs weighs at 241 pounds, ran a 4.58 40 at the combine. He has the ideal size of playing both the outside linebacking and inside linebacking positions. He played some inside linebacker at Penn State, which is known to develop some excellent linebacking talent, or is known as linebacker U. LeVar Arrington, Navarro Bowman, Sean Lee, Paul Leslie. He's expected to compete for the backup role behind Bolton, Tranquil, and Leo Chenal against Jack Cochran, Cam Jones, Cole Christensen. He is a versatile player, skilled at linebacker, and a very good special teams contributor. What stands out to me among him and all these rookie guys, and also Eddie Elo Fosho, who I wanted originally from Washington, they're both dominant in coverage. This guy plays like a safety playing a linebacking position, jumps the route like Marcus Peters, but at the linebacker position. He displays very good, excellent zone awareness and can make an impact jumping at the receiver at the catch point, breaking from his landmark, jumping the route. He does need to work on his tackling technique and reading, play reading consistently, but has excellent athleticism. And his experience on special teams makes him a very good, strong candidate to be part of their special teams unit. And Dave told, I know it was part of this decision to get him along with Spags.
With this guy, I mean, you mentioned a few names. You didn't mention the one that I thought you were going to mention. Tom Bahali from his alma
Yeah.
mater.
Edge rusher, though, man.
No, I get it. I get it. I get what you're saying, and I understood it when you said it. But I know that Tamba sometimes did have linebacker duties based on a few games that I can remember off the top of my head. But still, he wasn't a linebacker, so you're right. But what I will say is the fact that this dude has decent agility, and I think his sideline to sideline speed could be really great. Not quite Willie Gay style, but he's got a little speed to him.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna be interested to see how he gets used, as far as how he does, not how he gets used, but how he does when it comes to the special teams aspect. Because if he can succeed in Dave Toe's special teams, he can end up moving up the depth chart. Just saying. So
he reminds me of Corey Littleton from the Rams, who would start off as special teams and moved up the depth chart, all pro as a special teamer, and he was a starter for the Rams and was contributing to them going to that Super Bowl against the Patriots in 2018. So that's what he reminds me of, and I like this pickup. So
cool. There is one more, correct? Yeah, there's one more.
And that is punter Ryan Rayco.
Yeah.
Rayco. Yeah. Rayco may have not had the same hype as Matt Araiza coming out of college, known as the punt god currently on the Chiefs. Still, he can exceed Araiza's performance if he performs well at camp and secures the #1 punting role that Tommy Townsend vacated. And next episode, we'll talk about camp battles and all that. But Rayco has an average NFL quality leg and has demonstrated some ability to move the ball from side to side, although he still needs to improve his consistency. His ceiling is likely a slightly above average punter. Still, if he can maintain that level of performance on a cost-effective contract in the next 3 to 4 years, the Chiefs will likely be satisfied with what they can get from an undrafted rookie. Rayco is currently unlikely to make many Pro Bowls, but if he can improve his consistency and add more power to his game, he could be a solid NFL contributor for the next 10 years. Who knows?
The idea of a punter in the Chiefs offense is one of those things that you don't want to see him. Period. You know,
Right.
But when you are out here, do the job you just brought in here to do. So with that being said, I don't know how much this dude will, what's the word I'm looking for? Challenge Araiza. But we haven't seen Araiza punt recently. So there could be a legitimate, and we also know that Andy Reid is huge on camp battles. Huge on, loves them. No starter is safe, really. Because if the rookie outplays you, doesn't matter. You'll be outplayed and you'll have a job. So it's just what it is. So I don't hate this. I don't hate this pick. And you're not wasting, I'm sorry, and I said it, wasting a draft pick on a punter. Sorry.
No.
Like
the Bears drafted that punter. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, this isn't 2003, bro. What are we doing? This isn't 2003 where the Raiders draft Sebastian Janikowski. I think it was 2000, maybe. No, it was 2003. I want to say that was the first year that maybe it was 98. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But that was a year Sebastian Janikowski got selected with the first overall pick. Wild. Different times. Different times
Indeed. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I do like this pickup. And again, it definitely brings competition at the punter position. No one is safe. If you can perform, you will perform, and you will do so under pressure. So shout out to the Chiefs for that. And these guys look like they could be formidable on a team that's already formidable. And it gives us an option to do different looks on different things. Like that's the beautiful part about this to me. So with that being said, anything else on any of these guys?
No, I like these three guys that I just mentioned. And then there's also TCU's Amani Bailey, who I think has a good chance. But I think there's a really good group. I think, as I mentioned, and to speak on this before we close the episode, got a message back from one of the guys who works very closely with Brett Veach and Andy Reid in the Chiefs. And, he knows about our show. He likes what we're doing. As a matter of fact, he mentioned that Boys Back in Town episode because we mentioned Suamaya Tia. Kingsley.
Suamataia. I have to get it right.
Okay.
My mind is going to make me get that right.
Yes. I'm going to make sure I get that right. Kingsley Suamataia, Xavier Worthy, and Jacobs were all mentioned in the episode, and I thought that was so cool to look back at that. And He asked me personally in the email, how do we what do you think about our picks? Because our guys like them, and what you think? I told him I think this might be arguably Brett Veach's best draft class of all time if these guys play at the same level as the guys did in 2022, because the talent that they got is amazing, and can't nobody say anything about us. It's out there. We're going for the three-peat. We're the villains of the league. Let's go. And I can't wait for this upcoming year, man. And that's all I got to say about that. So I'm excited about everything, man. So we just got to keep this thing rolling, keep it moving. As Sharon Nesbitt has said, and shout out to my mother, as she's watching this. We've been watching it this past weekend. Yeah, man, we're ready to go, bro.
Yeah, with that being said, we talked about we've had the news, that's news to me. The five instant impact Chiefs rookies in the second segment. And the third segment was the UDFAs, undrafted free agents, that will likely make the team. With that being said, I thank you, Philip, for being on the show and bringing us all these different perspectives on different players. And he's PMAC, I am you, and that's all I got today. If there's nothing else that calls our attention, peace out.
Peace.